Today I'm going to be breaking down Terminator by King Promise featuring young Jonn, where as usual I'm going to be talking you through the various elements that I'm picking up on as we go through it. In terms of overall themes of the track, Terminator is an anthem of self-empowerment and perseverance. The lyrics convey a strong message of prioritizing one's happiness and peace of mind, disregarding external judgments and staying committed to personal goals and ambitions. Now, before we do actually go ahead and get into the video, if you're interested in my setup, i.e. headphones, mic, camera, I've put links to those in the description. So if you want to check those out, then you can. Also, if you're on TikTok and you want to give us a follow, you want to show us some love, then by all means, feel free. Let's get it.
In life, if you understand me or not, misunderstand me or not, me, I'm okay, and if you think I'm wrong or not, long as it's what I want, me, I'm okay.
Hey, bang. Okay, right, so as usual, let's go ahead, let's break down the intro and let's break down the first verse. So we get kicked off with the intro and all we hear is the beat at first, right? Just for a few seconds. After that, this is when we get two layers of keys come in. So we've got one that's kind of playing these chords, but those chords are very spaced out. They're not in there just constantly all the way throughout the intro. But as we progress on, this is when we hear that second layer come in. And it's like a ding ding. It's got a variation within the rhythm. But again, that second layer spaced out, not in there consistently. As we head towards the back end of the intro, we get a cymbal transition, we get a beat cut, but pay attention to what happens to the chords, right? We get a tape stop effect that's put onto those chords. So just as we tip over, we get a doo. Right, that happens. When we hit the first verse, obviously we get the vocals, but we do have a stripped back instrumental. So again, chords and just an additional layer of keys that come in every now and again. As we head towards the back end of the first verse, this is where we hear the vocals of King Promise. They get layered, they get harmonized, and they absolutely bang. And what transitions us from the first verse into the pre-chorus, cheeky little drum roll, and then these beautiful strings come in. Let's go back, let's listen. Right, so just the beat.
Let's go.
Chords. And listen to that other layer there. Right, cymbal coming in. Cut. Tape stop. Right, strip back now. Just the chords, extra layer.
Long as it's what I want, me, I'm okay.
Harmonies. Strings.
Who are you to judge me like say you be holy past? I did love my life, get my peace of mind, better try survive. We all be sinners, my body, nobody holy past. And my happiness comes first, I never come life to stress, yeah. I be like Terminator.
Bass in there now.
I be like Terminator. I did deliver. I pass it I be like Terminator.
Yeah, they bang, mate.
I deliver. I pass it I be like Terminator. I deliver. I pass it
Synth bass in there. Okay, right, so before we head into the second verse, let's break down what we've heard in the pre-chorus, the chorus, and just within that sort of like individual segment that occurs where that synth bass comes in before we hit the second verse. So the first thing that we actually notice when we hit the pre-chorus is, yes, there are common themes that we've already heard in the intro and in the verse within the pre-chorus. So the chords being one of them, they're in there. But instead of giving us an additional layer of keys, what they do is they give us these absolutely stunning strings. And they're bringing a richness and an elegance to that pre-chorus. But it also makes sense why they gave us a glimpse of those strings towards the back end of the first verse. Now, as we shift into the chorus, we get this cheeky drum transition, but then when we hit the chorus, you notice that the track is stripped back again. We get the bass that's brought into the mix when we hit that chorus, but if you listen, buried far back in the mix are just this kind of subtle set of strings that are just playing along. Then we get into a segment of the track that's completely different to anything we've heard so far, right? We get a synth bass that comes in. That's got a completely different rhythm, bro, to anything else that we've heard. And it just sounds like it's doing its own thing, right? But it absolutely bangs. And just again, to kind of pad that segment out, what we start to get are these kind of like these vocal runs, these riffs, these ad-libs and fillers and all of that sort of stuff. Absolutely bangs, mate. So let's go back, let's listen. Strings.
I did love my life, get my peace of mind, I did try survive. We all be sinners.
Listen to what they bring to the track, man.
And my happiness comes first. I never come left to stress.
Chorus. Bass in there now.
Terminator, I did deliver. I pass it doctor. I be like Terminator, I did deliver. I pass it doctor.
Listen to the vocals. You're gonna get bigger. Yeah. Synth bass now. You can hear the vocal runs and riffs.
I don't need nobody motivation. Now my happiness consign me. Happiness consign
layers.
You don't pay. Where no one day could be paid. So right now my happiness consign me. Happiness consign me. I consign. So don't come tell me something I know. You want to do want me for there. Don't let nobody play with your confidence. Your confidence. Oh, you Sarah, what we be, we be. You want to do want me for there. Don't let nobody play with your confidence.
Bang, man. Okay, right, so before we get into the second set, the pre-chorus and the chorus, let's talk about the second verse. So there are a couple of things that we need to pay attention to in the second verse. So the first one, let's talk about flow, right? Young Jonn's flow, much more pacier than what we had from King Promise. Another thing to pay attention to with the vocals is that you hear that those back-end phrases are being layered and harmonized. Again, something we didn't get in King Promise's verse. Pay attention to the keys. There is a slight variance within them compared to what we heard in the first verse. What we can hear here is that actually it's closer together. So we get a dung dung, right, rather than a dung, and then big space, and then the set come in. And then the final thing to pay attention to here is what happens at the back end. Again, it's different to what we heard in King Promise's verse. So here they strip the track all the way back, right? So we've just got the percussions, we've just got the chords in there. We do get an uplifting vocal that occurs similar to what we had with King Promise, although this one's definitely much more fatter. But one thing I didn't hear in this verse as we shift into the pre-chorus is that glimpse of the violin coming. It may be in there, but I just haven't heard it. But look, either way, let's go back, let's listen to it. Right, listen to the keys. Hear that? And listen to the flow. Layered back-end phrases.
So don't come tell me something I know. You want to want me for there. Don't let nobody play with your confidence. Your confidence.
Strip back now.
You want to want me for there. Don't let nobody play with your
There's that rise in the vocals.
Who are you to judge me like say you be holy past? I didn't love my life, get my peace of mind, that I try survive. We all be sinners, my party, nobody holy bad. And my happiness comes first, I never come life to stress, yeah. I be like Terminator.
Okay, right, I am going to stop it very quickly because there are two things that I want to talk about in this pre-chorus and the chorus that we didn't get in the first segment. So the first thing that I want to discuss here is the layers at play within the pre-chorus and chorus. So just cast your mind back very quickly. So what I was saying in the pre-chorus and the chorus of the first segment of the song is that things were kind of getting stripped out a little bit, right? And sometimes then added back in. But what we hear here is all of the layers at play. So things like chords, additional keys, etc., etc. All the things that we've discussed. So that's the first difference. The second difference that we hear is within the pre-chorus, right? As we get towards the back end of that pre-chorus, what do we get? We get this cheeky glimpse of the synth bass, right, that we heard in that kind of individual segment of the song, which kind of makes sense when you think about the structure of it, why we didn't hear it in the first pre-chorus. Let's go back. I'll only take it back a few, right? Let's just listen. Right, so this is pre-chorus. Listen to how much fuller it sounds. Synth coming in. Get ready? There. You can hear the keys in there. There. Layers. Yeah, mate. Okay, that's different, bro. That's different. In the first, okay, look here, we got some beat chops, and then we get those really nice, those stunning vocals come in, man. Just again, we get a little bit of a glimpse of it. We didn't have that in this section in the first segment of the song, right? Just listen. Coming up. Here we go. Bangs, mate. Seeing us out now. Yeah, bangs, man, bangs. Okay, that's it for me. If you want to see more reaction and analysis videos, there'll be things popping up on the screen right now. Other than that, don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I will see you in the next one.